Assalamualaikum and good evening to fellow audience and our honorable panelists. Welcome to our reality show, Talk Show by Haliza. My name is Nurhaliza. Today, we will be discussing about a very interesting topic which regard to the children should not be allowed to use gadget. This topic is quite significant for people to be aware of, yet always get neglected by the citizen even in Malaysia. Thus, the main issue is, do electronic gadgets are recommended for our children? What are the pros and cons of this so-called leap in investment of humanity? Without further ado, let me introduce our awesome panelists. We have Hannah Natasha, a parent of 2 kids, which represents the parent out there. How are you, Hannah?
Alhamdulillah, I'm great. Thank you for inviting me to be one of your guests.
My pleasure, Mrs. Hannah. What do you think about today's topic?
As a parent who have 2 children, I will say that exposure towards a gadget is an important topic to be discussed, and I'm sure the audience would like to know the best solution regarding this matter.
I totally agree with you. The audience out there are very eager to know about the best solutions they may do regarding the problem. Moving on to the next panelist, a medical doctor in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, a specialist in pediatric, Dr. Husna, whom we are going to ask the medical aspect of our topic. Doctor, how are you feeling today? And it is clinically important for us to discuss this topic.
Well, I'm feeling good as always. For this topic, there have been many medical cases I have encountered that are correlated with the exposure to the gadget toward children. In the context of mental and also physical, a gadget also have affected our children as always.
Thank you, Doctor. Let's save that for later. Our next panelist is a caretaker in children nursery, Mrs. Aini. Mrs. Aini, how long have you been in this field and what do you think about today's topic?
Thank you, Ms. Haliza. I've been working as a children caretaker for almost 5 years, and now I can assure you that handling more than 20 kids in a day with electronic gadgets surely have given notable effects towards children.
Without wasting any more time, we will start our first season with our first panel, Mrs. Hannah. Do you allow your children to use electronic gadget and what are the notable effects that you can share for us today?
Thank you, Ms. Haliza. Well, currently I have 2 male children. So the first one is 12 years old and another one is 8 years old. The older brother has been exposed to electronic gadgets since he was 6 years old. This is where I have made a mistake because my first son had a problem to blend with society when he's getting older. He could not get along with other kids easily. During that time, I thought that he was just kind and embraced with new people, but I realized that he didn't have enough social and communication skills that could make people understand him well. I think the primary cause was that he rather made use of his time by playing his gadget than having to interact with other people. I think this is one of the danger sides in the exposure to the gadget.
Since you have experienced a child who has lacking of social skill because of overuses of electronic gadget, will you share with us about your second child, Mrs. Hannah?
I learned from my mistake. For the second son, I did not allow him to play games on the gadget more than 2 hours, and I will always watch over my son when I have a time. As a result, my second son was able to communicate well and make a lot of friends. Even I can clearly see that the emotional quotient is good enough. He knows how to sympathize, understand people even he was young.
I think you have done a great job, Mrs. Hannah. Today, this is a nice development for you and your family. Let's move to Dr. Husna. In your opinion, how electronic gadget can affect the social skill of our children, and from medical side, will you elaborate the side effect of electronic gadget towards the mental health of children?
From the case that I have been encountered, electronic gadgets are actually good, especially through gameplay. If it is used properly, it will be able to increase the cognitive skill of children in order to overcome the issue on their own. With their experience in gaming, such as playing Angry Birds, to war games such as Mobile Legends, they will come up with a solution for every situation, and this skill also can be adapted to the real world. In my personal opinion, becoming a problem solver is one of the many aspects in becoming a genius from gadget. However, the most important or the most alarming thing about the game is it can make the children addicted with the gadget.
Doctor, just now you said that playing games can develop a genius side of the children. Could you elaborate more about this topic?
When the children use gadget, there is a certain neurotransmitter in our brain will be realized to reward the people to become happy and giving effect of pleasure. Thus, when children play games, they will feel happy and there will be some sort of pleasure. This effect can lead to the addiction with some mechanism such as drug abuse. This is why when you allow your children to use gadget without any limit and suddenly you stop them from playing it, they will throw tantrum and spring into range such as start kicking around. This is caused by them for not having sense of pleasure anymore. Do you agree, Miss Hannah?
Yes, that is one of the problems I've encountered when trying to fix my mistake.
Good explanation, Doctor. Let's move on to the next panelist, Mrs. Aini. As a children caretaker, I know that you have been dealing with kids every day, right? What do you think of the exposure of electronic gadget? Do you have the same experience with Mrs. Hannah?
It's quite the opposite actually. From my experience in handling lots of kids at the same time, electronic gadgets helped me a lot in teaching them. Usually, I use my iPad as an interesting medium to teach children basic academic knowledge such as ABC, simple addition and subtraction and so forth. It's much easier and convenient for the children and even for me. They can understand more what I was trying to say when I use colorful and beautiful pictures with my iPad. From what I saw, the easiest way to catch the attention of children is by using this kind of illustration. By using this gadget properly, it can actually give positive effect rather than negative ones if one knows how to limit the usage.
Mrs. Aini, you said that gadget can be useful medium in educating the children, right? Will you explain more about this because we are still wondering how gadget may be useful in teaching moral value?
Regarding that matter, usually I will make use of children's stories in YouTube such as Dora the Explorer and Bob the Builder. This kind of children's series could teach them how to cooperate with each other and have empathy with other people in their lives. It is nice when the children think that we are only giving them entertainment, but actually we subliminally want to teach these children moral and ethical values. Of course, this activity is done in my surveillance and I only limit this activity 1 hour per day. Sometimes I also use this activity as a reward for my children if they are having well. See, with great precaution, things that considered risky as electronic gadgets can also be beneficial.
It is surely nice to have a parents when we have different perspectives to be looked at. So far, I think the cue here is limit. Everything must be in their own limit. Next, moving on to our next season, which is Q&A season. We have 2 questions from our social media. The first one is, what are the steps that have to be taken so that children can be stopped from overutilizing the gadget? The scenario is, my son is 5 years old now and have been addicted to video game in smartphone. When I try to stop him, he start crying out loud and throw tantrum. I don't know what I have to do. Mrs. Hannah, what are your suggestions and opinion regarding this matter?
Actually, you cannot simply take the phone from your child and expect them to follow your order. It is good if you find an alternative for him as a source of entertainment. I think the books are a great way to get started. This is what is called the art of distraction. You must first distract your child with another thing so that they will still have the entertainment but in the better way.
Thank you, Mrs. Hannah, for the wonderful tips that you are willing to share with us. Now, for the next question is about electronic gadget can affect the eye problem. Basically, his child can be seen using gadget for years. Now, he wants to know whether there is any precautions to avoid these complications which are the eyes problem and back problem. I think Dr. Husna this question.
Thank you for your question. Actually, it has been proven scientifically that using gadget can lead eyes and back problems. The eye problem is caused by the strain of eye muscle and retina when we look at the screen for a long time. Plus, the back problem usually caused by the posture of body when using the gadget. As we know, when the children use gadget, they tend to sit at the back posture. Hence, it will give a back effect to their back. Besides, they tend to put the gadget close to their eyes. This is bad for their eyes actually, as it can damage it. My advice for you is to prevent using gadgets in the dark room as well as look far to relax your eyes every 50 minutes. Lastly, to keep your phone or gadget on the eye level when using, so that your back won't be strained.
Thank you, Dr. Husna. I think that's all questions for today. We have come to a definitive that despite the beneficial effect of the gadget and there are also their bad effect of our children. To minimize the side effect is limiting usage of gadget itself. By limiting the usage of gadget, surely our children can gain more benefit in order to become a better persons of value. Now, I would like to thank our panel, Mrs. Hana, Dr. Husna, Mrs. Aini, and also the audience for spending some time with us. Thank you and see you our next show. Bye bye and Assalamualaikum.